All right, let's send it down to Brandon Parker and Ryan Dittrick with tonight's Flames TV postgame show presented by Original 16.
Original 16 gives you the chance to win one of 3 Calgary Flames fan experiences. Details in the new limited edition 15 packs of Canadian Pale Ale. Original 16, official beer sponsor of the Calgary Flames. Must be legal drinking age, no purchase necessary.
All right, welcome inside Flames TV Live, the post-game show. It's brought to you by Original 16. Brendan Parker alongside Ryan Dittrick, and the win streak has come to an end. Tonight is the Vancouver Canucks victorious here on the road as they play for the second time this season head-to-head and second time here in Calgary as part of the 6-game homestand. And it is a 4-3 victory. A couple of late goals both ways, an empty netter, and then the Flames kind of make it interesting again down the stretch. Maybe let's just first start with kind of an overview of a hockey game. I think that we build up, as a pretty big Pacific Division tilt, and maybe didn't live up to as much of the hype in terms of some of the excitement level, but obviously in Vancouver's case, they get the job done. How did you see it tonight?
Well, for a second there, I thought we were poised to see the Flames' 6th comeback win of the season. We were getting pretty close. Got a little wild there at the end, which is good to see. Kind of lends credence to some of the comments that we've heard from the room the last couple of days. They never feel like they're out of a game. For me, though, this one was interesting because it's a tough one. It felt like it was one of those nights there was a kind of a sloppy flow for a lot of the game. The shot volume wasn't very high on either side. And when that happens, typically you got to bury your chances. And early on in this game, the Canucks did just that. We saw as the game progressed, the Flames did get some pretty quality looks, especially in that third period. We're going to look at some of the plays that Dylan Dubé was able to create. Even when this game was 3-1, you and I were talking and saying, they've probably had enough chances tonight to at least get this game to overtime and maybe even be in front. And especially as that game played out later in the third period, when that push came, obviously you would have liked to have seen it come sooner, but the looks were there. They need to bury them a lot sooner and get going because there are going to be more games like this against teams like Vancouver that keep those shots low. Got to make the most of your chances.
Yeah, low shots and low of end, really, when you take a look at, in particular, especially when you stack it up against the last 2 home games here in particular. It is low for sure, but here's a look at what eventually became good scoring chances that led to goals in our goals pack here tonight. Again, a 4-3 Vancouver victory here that started really well for the visiting team, and this is, if you're the Calgary Flames, something they've talked about. Would like to get out to better starts. This wasn't what they were looking for.
No, and it really seemed to suck a lot of the life out of the building early, which is unfortunate because, as you mentioned, there was a lot of juice coming into this one. Some of those early shifts, a little bit of sustained pressure that, as you can see there, snapping the puck around and opening some of the seams, that got the Flames running around, and it's not a complicated play there from Quinn Hughes, but he is, as we know, an elite shooter. He picks the spot over the pad, 1-0 Canucks.
Yeah, 9 on the season for Quinn Hughes as he continues to be among the NHL leaders, especially among defensemen, and then they would add to it. This was the second one of the period. Sam Lafferty finds himself in a pretty fortuitous spot as the puck falls right on his stick.
Yeah, and every look you get at this thing on a rebound, Jacob Markstrom inches away from keeping that one out. That's a pretty valiant effort, but kind of goes back to the theme that we saw in that first goal. Same sort of idea, quick passes, open those seams. The Flames kind of drift out of position ever so slowly. Again, not a super dangerous shot going toward the net, but when you send traffic there and guys are maybe a step off, it gives Lafferty a chance to bury it, and he does.
This was the spark, though, the Flames were looking for in the first period, and the spark that their power play was looking for, and it comes in the form of Michael Backlund, but not before some great work along the blue line to keep this puck alive.
Everybody gets a touch on this one, but you're right. Connor Zary at the point. First, he's got to reach to keep that in. Then he uses that big frame of his to protect the puck there at the blue line. You love to see the patience. We're seeing so much of this from Connor Zary these days. Terrific pass here from Mackenzie Weager, and that pass from Adam Ruzicka, you love to see it because they've spent a lot of time over the last few days and every morning skate the past few working on the power play, and Ruzicka's factored in heavily.
Yeah, that's something Backlund mentioned in the first intermission. They've been working on that play, and successfully so. 2-1 though, Canucks led after one, and then this kind of felt like a bit of a backbreaker at the end of the second period. You almost get out of the period. You kill off a huge penalty, actually a 2-man advantage at one point in the middle of the period, and then this one finds the back of the net from Ilya Mikheyev.
And if you're the Flames, you really didn't make any mistakes on this play. A broken stick kind of sets everything in motion, and you see it sort of creates a bunch of chaos. Everybody's running around trying to get back into position, and Mikheyev gets the chop. Yeah, like you said, backbreaker. Again, it goes back to the 1-0 goal. This one seemed to suck some life out of the building as well.
Pettersson there as well, but Mikheyev gets the goal, his 8th of the season. And then once again, you get a little bit of life and you get within one. This is at the better part of the third period as we move toward the end. And look at the patience once again from Elias Lindholm, and a second power play goal for the Calgary Flames.
Outside of maybe Dylan Dubé, Elias Lindholm was the best Flame on the ice tonight. No question about that. You love to see the patience. This is the offensive instincts that we've come to know and to love from Elias Lindholm there. This kind of sort of kickstarts that push we were talking about. Building comes alive, the team starts to believe again, and you can feel the momentum swing in the Flames' direction.
Unfortunately, though, this as the later stages of the period comes with the net empty, and it is the villain for tonight, at least. Nikita Zadorov, fresh off that trade, he finds the empty net from about 180 feet, and we thought that might be the absolute dagger, but the Flames would, once again, a resilient group. We talk about it. They get an opportunity to get back on the man advantage, and this is the second power play goal. I kind of alluded to that earlier, but Lindholm scores on the back door, maybe another fortuitous bounce, but kind of gave him some life late.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of good things from the power play. We've talked so much about that over the last few weeks, how that's sort of been the team's Achilles heel, but it really seems to have, I mean, maybe early to say it's turned a corner here, but they're doing a lot of right things. Pucks are being funneled towards the net, quick passes like we talked about with the Canucks early in this game, and we've noticed a little bit of, I wouldn't say trickery, but some new strategy being employed, and it worked to success tonight.
Yeah, and even on the power plays they didn't score on, some good movement and some good opportunities,
Sure.
and a couple of near misses. I think Huberdeau stands out as one of them on the back door, the redirect that didn't find the back of the net. All right, let's go and hear our first opportunity to get inside the locker room and some reaction from tonight's game. Elias Lindholm, 2 goals on the night. Drew them within 1, but unable to finish the comeback on this night.
What did you see as the difference out there tonight?
Yeah, I think overall they were more desperate than us. Yeah, I think obviously in the first they were stronger on pucks and won more battles and were better just overall. So I think overall today we weren't good enough to win the game.
So it's only a matter of time. You guys keep allowing that first goal. It's a dangerous game to play because eventually you're going to run out of comebacks.
Yeah. I mean, would like to play with the lead, but it just seems to be that way right now. Be down a lot and come back, but like you said, we run out of luck today, and it's a dangerous game to play. I think we got to come out better and be better in the first.
Strange to see Zadorov on the other side at all?
Yeah, I mean it's just a business. I guess it's we'll move on. We got a great group in here, and unfortunately we couldn't win today.
When you say dangerous game, like, can you just explain how difficult it is to constantly be playing catch up in this league?
I mean it's frustrating and it's hard. Overall, I think we're done a good job throughout the season here, and especially lately. But we got to be more hungry in the first and more hungry to get the lead in the beginning there. And once we get it, I think we're a comfortable and mature group to play with the lead. But just gotta get it right. So
what? Sorry, one more. Okay. What's a couple power play goals do for a group that probably needed a couple?
Yeah, I mean it's something obviously we can build off, but right now it's just frustrating losing this game and the way we lost it. Being kind of pushed out in the first. So, that's definitely something we can look build something from.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right, there's a thought from Elias Lindholm, and I think obviously the theme that jumps out there is the fact that once again you find yourselves trailing in a hockey game, and on this night you're not able to claw your way back in. And he mentioned dangerous game, but that is kind of something that this group has talked about. Even on the nights that they've won the games, it hasn't been lost on them.
No, definitely, and it's kind of like what we talked about off the top at 3-1, and then certainly when it goes to 4-2 at the empty netter. A lot of the nights over the course of an AHL season, you're going to think that game's over, but it is good to see that they can continue to press in situations like that. It's got to build confidence for this group because they have done it quite well so far this season, but You said it, quick starts need to be the focus. And on this night in particular, it really felt like those early goals had more of an impact on the game than maybe they have in the past for whatever reason. I think it might have had something to do with the fact that, there was some extra build up to this one. The other side's coming in feeling pretty motivated given the news of the last couple of days here. But yeah, they couldn't fight their way out this time.
Well, and just it's lower event. There wasn't as much going on tonight in terms of chances and offensive
Both
opportunities.
sides.
So yeah, it makes it harder to find that offense and find that spark late. Let's talk about Lindholm. We just heard from him, but just obviously the night that he gave this group 23 minutes plus, and obviously the goals, but a late chance too in the dying seconds.
Yeah, vintage Lindholm, really. I mean, this is a guy that's scored 40 plus in the past for this team, so we know exactly what he can bring to the table offensively. Been a little bit quieter this year, of course, but this is what you want to see from one of your leaders, especially the guy that centers the top line and plays the minutes that you just alluded to. This night was no slouch. We talked about it being a low-event game. He led the team along with Dylan Dubé with 4 individual scoring chances at 5-on-5. That doesn't even include the power play success that we were talking about earlier and the action that they were able to create with the goalie pulled too. So he had his fingerprints all over this one tonight. And for a guy that's, I wouldn't say fighting it offensively, but just hasn't put up quite the numbers that he's used to, you got to think a night like this helps build some of the confidence for him.
Sure, and ironically enough, takes over the team lead in goals now with 7 with his 2 tonight. 6 had him grouped in with 3 players in Mackenzie Weager and Blake Coleman, and now Lindholm stands alone at the top. Speaking of one of those guys, let's hear from Mackenzie Weager now, if we could. Defenseman had a 1 assist in a 3-game point streak on the go. Here's Mackenzie Weager.
You guys have done a good job coming back despite allowing the first goal so often of late. There's only a matter of time for that kind of caught up with you.
I mean, we've been playing good hockey, but the first period, maybe first, second, and third, I thought it was just we lost the battle in the net front, and there was 50-50 battles that I thought we could have been harder on. But the first goal or the lead or whatever had nothing to do with tonight.
Was it really just the first 10 minutes of that first period there? I mean, I don't think that you lost a shot.
Yeah, there was moments definitely where we were buzzing, and we definitely got some ozone time. But they just, like I said, both net front and the D zone, net front and the O zone, I felt like they pushed us around. That's including me.
You won a lot of the 50-50 battles in the games against Colorado, the games against Dallas. When you're not winning those, how can you kind of get it back on track in the second or in the third or something like that?
Oh, that's just your inner compete level, that effort level, and maybe the inner dog in you. When you're going head to head with somebody in a puck battle, you want to have the courage to beat them in there and get that puck. And I thought they were the better team at the 50-50 battles time.
Mackenzie, I know you just said it's not about who scored the first goal tonight, but this team has found itself trailing a lot. Is there a way to cure that, if that's the right word for it?
Yeah, our starts. We can start on time and start better and push the pace. I thought that first 10 minutes they sort of dictated the pace, and we should be the one in our home building to dictate the pace in the first 10 minutes. But the last few games obviously we haven't had the lead, and that's a position that we're comfortable in. And we faced adversity in that moment. There was an opportunity for us there at the end to tie it up as well, but. There were some good things, but I thought overall, the compete level, they outcompeted us.
Apologies if this was already asked, but how tough was it allowing that third goal from Vancouver just before the end of the second period?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the last, 5 minutes of each period, you really want to dig in and not let any goals happen, and that's when if you're on there for the last minute or last 2 minutes of each period, it's usually our top guys, and you want to be in the O zone trying to score a goal. But if you're back there, you got to defend hard, and those can kind of deflate you for sure. And those were obviously tough to give up. But in the third period, there were obviously opportunities to come back in the game. But I felt like there was moments in the third too where we were a little bit slower and lackadaisical. It didn't feel like we had the hop that the juice that we usually do.
Original 16 gives you the chance to win one of 3 Calgary Flames fan experiences. Details in the new limited edition 15 packs of Canadian Pale Ale Original 16. Official beer sponsor of the Calgary Flames. Must be legal drinking age. No purchase necessary.
All right, welcome inside Flames TV Live, the post-game show brought to you by Original 16. It is the Vancouver Canucks winning 4-3 over the Calgary Flames here tonight. Second of 4 meetings head-to-head this season. The last one inside the Scotiabank Saddledome before they move into Vancouver to finish out the season series. But even up now, 1-1, and I believe it was 151 wins and 301 appearances now against, or at least head-to-head matchups. That's my fun fact of the day.
Brendan digs much deeper into the game notes than I.
Split pretty evenly, ironically, between these two teams. Not that matters here tonight. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about, heard some more from Mackenzie Weager there as well. Also we kind of mentioned it a little bit, but Nikita Zadorov here also making his return. Kind of a fun circumstance in the fact that you get traded, but the first team you end up playing happens to be your former team.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that's like for both sides. That's got to be super bizarre. I mean, we see him
Strange
walking around here too.
It's
just strange, but. It is the business, and we talk about that a lot. I think the uniqueness in this case is that it's the first game back. We're not even really sure if Nikita actually left Calgary before he met with his new team. But
stayed here.
Interesting familiarity with the rink, the fans. You saw him interacting with the fans during warm-up too, so it was really fascinating. But in terms of the in-game stuff, outside of maybe a little shot in the back from Blake Coleman at one point, sending him into the boards, no rough stuff. Still friends, I guess. I'm not even sure how we term it. Enemies, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see. I'm sure we'll see more of that as the season goes and the season series, as you said, reconvenes in Vancouver.
And Rocket number 91. I even heard there was a couple of jerseys up in the crowd as well.
Yeah.
So it's a little unique number there. Obviously, 16 can be worn in Vancouver. We established that earlier today, trying to figure out why that one wasn't available, and pretty obviously so. Trevor Linden, of course, in Vancouver. So, all right. So we've talked a little bit about the Flame side of things. Heard from inside the locker room, and maybe now an opportunity here from the head coach. Ryan Huska is just sitting down at the podium right now as we speak, so we'll join him in progress. Here's head coach Ryan Huska, his thoughts following a 4-3 loss to the Vancouver Canucks tonight.
What'd you see as the difference tonight? The start of the game for me, I thought we were on our heels early on, and they started with more urgency than we did tonight.
Can you just talk about how hard it is to constantly trail in this league?
Yeah, it's not a recipe for success, that's for sure. I like what our guys do when they get behind. They stay with it, but we're finding ourselves in that position a little bit too often. Yeah.
What did you think of your team special teams tonight?
Well, we scored on the power play, which is a positive for sure. I thought it had moments. Then it had moments where it looked like the power play of old. But scoring 2 goals allows them to feel good about kind of what they're supposed to do, and I thought our penalty kill did a good job. That 5-on-3 could have been the difference in the game tonight.
There was quite a bit of, buzz and build-up around this game. Why do you think the kind of sluggish start from your group?
I'm not sure, to be quite honest with you. We felt like they were all set and ready to go tonight. It just, part of it would come to the way Vancouver plays. They do a really good job of not giving you a lot of room, and that kind of tends to lead to a little bit of frustration at times because they skate well, and I think that probably had something to do with it.
Exactly how to ask this, but talking to the guys, they seemed almost annoyed with their own performance, and as opposed to we can't figure out answers. They were like, we're better than this. Does that speak to the standards being quite high right now for this group?
Probably. I mean, they know how they have to play to have success, and I don't think they were happy with the start of the game. I mean, if you could replicate the third period, we probably would have had we would have given ourselves to have a chance to have a better fate tonight. So, yeah.
We didn't see much of Manchester.
Yeah.
Was that any sort of injury or just your decision?
Yeah, it was my hard decision, yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Thanks, guys.
All right, there's some thoughts from head coach Ryan Huska following the game, and pretty simple. And anything stand out there in terms of what we heard both in the room and from the coach?
Similar to what Mackenzie Weager was talking about. I think in a situation like this, that start especially, if you're going to wrap that up into this game as a whole and be disappointed with the effort, the result, what have you, that's not been the norm over the last week or so with the way this team's been playing. So it's the outlier, right? So I'm not looking and saying this team needs to be soul-searching and as one of the reporters asked in there, looking for answers. I don't think that's necessary. You might be a little bit baffled as to why that happened tonight, but it hasn't been the trend that we've been seeing with this team who's been playing pretty good hockey lately. So the way I see it, it's been a grueling schedule of late. It was a week ago. We were coming back in from Denver at 4:30 in the morning, and they came back and played some really good games against really high caliber teams and got some victories that were pivotal to them getting back to 500. Get the off day, rest up, come back to practice on Monday, and continue to do the things that you've been doing well over this last little stretch, because it has been a good period of hockey for the Flames lately.
Yeah, and, absolutely. Mackenzie Weager said the same thing in the locker room. We've played some good hockey as of late, and we'll continue to do so next week, because 3 games on the slate. I believe it's all 1 Central Division and then 2 Eastern Division teams coming up.
Yep.
Right? Minnesota.
And an afternoon game in there, which we love.
Yeah, absolutely. On next Saturday.
Yep.
Bring the kids to the Dome Day.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 o'clock start. That'll cap off the 6-game homestand. But a couple of tilts before that, Tuesday and Thursday, and then round it out on Saturday as well. As for tonight, we'll close the book on this one, a 4-3 Vancouver Canucks victory inside the Scotiabank Saddledome. 2 more head-to-head meetings between these 2 teams that'll come at Rogers Place in Vancouver in the new year. As for tonight, 4-3 the final. Nikita Zadorov makes his return to Calgary in his first game as a Vancouver Canuck. And the Flames will now look ahead to a big week upcoming here at the Dome starting on Tuesday night. And that is when they welcome in the Minnesota Wild, the 7 o'clock start. This was their Indigenous celebration night here inside the Scotiabank Saddledome. All the elders and representatives from all 7 treaty nations with us. It was a fantastic celebration. Unfortunately spoiled by the Vancouver Canucks, but we'll be back at it. We'll see you on Tuesday night. Thanks for watching the Flames Postgame Live, brought to you by Original 16.